Podcast. We are going to be wrapping up our creator economy series, at least the 101 era of the series, before we get really deep into it. Kind of like in our last DAO episode, which was it was a little bonus episode. We just wanted to deep dive into DAOs on a more personal level. And we're going to be going with a less scripted format for the rest of these in the series. And then we're going to have some more fun stuff coming up after this one. So stay tuned to From A to Z and the Bankless DAO YouTube channel. So, I'm Zombie Shepherd here with my co-host Z-Fi. How's it going, man?
Doing good. Ready to get back on the episodes here. How you doing?
Oh, man, doing excellent. And, having my tea here. I already finished the coffee. Listened to the weekly roll-up, had my coffee, did the Bankless DAO community call. Now I'm here with you, ready to talk security, man.
Let's talk security. We've got some ideas here and some tips and just some experiences to share. So, yeah, it should be a good episode.
Absolutely. So, we do have some notes that we have for this, but we're going to pretty much just kind of take it pretty loose, and we're going to keep this episode kind of short, keep it to a half an hour, not get too much into it. But I mean, because you should already be pretty aware of a lot of security things like strong passwords. Don't make your passwords obvious. Don't do a bunch of Facebook quizzes where it's asking you your pet's name and your mom's maiden name and just to tell you what kind of Avenger you are.
They're harvesting their information. They're farming you. Yes.
Oh man. And it's so funny how these scams, like how every scam, operates, because you can't really be aware of every type of scam. There's always something new happening and you really don't know, until the scam becomes a meme, it's hard to know what the scam of the day is, but
and it's always shifting. It's like that pest host or parasite host relationship.
I'm calling you about your car's extended warranty.
Yes. I don't own a car, but let's extend it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess what you're saying is there are a lot of ways that right out the gate, no matter which space you're in, whether it's email, general web surfing, Facebook, social media, whatever it is, there's just some general security practices that are good. But when you get into the crypto space, there's another level. There's a whole other layer of technologies you have to understand and tools you need to use. So it's good to review this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, with your passwords, that's super important. And two-factor authentication is really important, especially for your centralized exchanges. And I don't know. Can you do two-factor authentication on MetaMask and stuff like that? You could probably do it.
I don't know about MetaMask, but I use it everywhere I can. Anything that supports 2FA, I turn it on.
Yeah, exactly. I have it on my Discord, Coinbase, Gemini, pretty much anything. Absolutely.
And then keep your backup keys safe, because the 2FA works great until you lose your phone and can't get into anything. So you have to either sync it to another device or keep your 2FA backup keys. Just turning on the 2FA isn't, that's not the end of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, actually, that's funny you say that, because I actually have I always keep my old phone for that reason, because it has the 2FA on it. It has my email and stuff on it. If I lost my phone, I can always go back to that other phone and at least on Wi-Fi be able to 2FA things, right, because it'll be the same authenticator app that I'm using. So, or even if I had wiped the phone, I can always just use the same email or whatever to resync that phone, get the authenticator on the same account, and then it will be the same. So yeah. But the other thing besides passwords is the seed phrase itself. And that's a new thing that for the moment we have to deal with. We're hoping that that's going to be obfuscated away and abstracted away with ZK technology and other forms of being able to verify that a wallet is yours outside of the seed phrase, and even making the seed phrase not the primary security source anymore. So I've
I
actually
think
heard some.
a lot of
Yeah.
that'll develop with UI upgrades too. At a certain point, when the technology is simplified or whatever, the UI might not even show it. You might not even know there's a seed phrase, but it's automatically stored on a secure chip in your device, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And there would be other ways to secure your account and other ways to verify your account. And more importantly, like that's good for the base layer security, but being able to like set limits in there where you say like any transaction over $100 needs to have 2FA or 3FA. You know what I mean? Anything over $10,000 definitely needs to have 3FA, and one of those like factors of authentication can be either like a voice call or a video call or some form of like human verification or even verification from a third party saying like before my account can move like $10,000 or more, make sure that you get verification from both the account, whatever form I used, and my wife or whatever, some other
I know that
layer.
there are some tools coming out that are starting to dabble with that. I think Argent Wallet allows you to split recovery among multiple people, and then obviously Ledger now too is with Ledger Recover. They allow you to split that. It's not quite the authorization; it's more just recovery. But
Right, right.
there are
Yeah,
wallets
but
moving
it
in that
is
direction.
important because that is one of the things with the crypto space people most fear is kind of like if you lose your seed phrase, if you get hacked, if that wallet is compromised,
Yep.
too bad. You're in the Wild West and that's what happens. You
Right.
stepped in a bear trap. Now you
And a
got no
compromised
foot.
seed phrase is a one-way thing. Once it's compromised, it's permanently compromised. You cannot assume that it will ever be safe again.
Not
It's
just
done.
that, but
It's
there's
burnt.
nothing at this layer, at this point, at least, there's nothing to rejumble that seed phrase to make a certain hexadecimal address like safe again. There is no way to wash it after it's been hacked. It's like, nope, it's been compromised. It's done. That wallet
That's
is
that.
burned.
Exactly.
Now more than one person has access to that wallet. So good luck.
The even more dangerous part of that is if you create a MetaMask wallet and you store your MetaMask seed phrase, you can, within that seed phrase, create multiple addresses. If your MetaMask seed phrase gets compromised, you can lose multiple addresses at the same time.
Exactly.
So that's another thing to be aware of. Like, it's a tricky world out there. But if you cover all your bases and you know, do the steps you're supposed to be doing, you're going to have a whole lot better experience and a whole lot better chance your stuff safe. And speaking just a little bit about general security, which I think is a good idea. It doesn't matter which space you're in. It doesn't matter if you're in crypto. It doesn't matter if you're in gaming. It doesn't matter if you're just looking at your emails. Everyone's out to scam you because it's easy money if they can get a bite. It's phishing. Always be aware of phishing attempts. If emails sound suspicious, if there's links that don't look quite right, like you just have to use some common sense and use some critical thinking skills when things look a little fishy. Fake giveaways, impersonation scams, you'll inevitably get a DM in Discord saying, hey, if you send me whatever, I'll double it for you. Or, gosh, you're a winner this month of our 0.123 BTC giveaway, and you've won. You just have to, send us your seed phrase. Don't, obviously, but watch out for those types of scams. Impersonation scams are easy. We've been seeing those forever. You just pretend to be somebody who's a figure of authority so that the person you're speaking to thinks, oh yeah, I should do this. This must be real.
Yeah, the fake
Malware.
website, the seed phrase in the fake website, that's a good one because
Oh
once
yeah.
I was doing a DeFi class, I was conducting a class for DeFi, and I was looking up QuickSwap, and I went to a scam site, not realizing it. I clicked on it, and I clicked Connect Wallet, and it said enter your seed phrase, and I said, "All right, class,
Oh, this
this
isn't right.
is a scam website." And I
Yes.
went like as soon as it asked for the seed phrase, I knew it was a scam. So I clicked back and I to the Google page and it said add next to it. And it was
Yep.
like spelled slightly differently. And so it
We've
was
been seeing
easy
a
to
lot of
click
that.
on if you weren't paying attention. But yeah, it was right above the real quick swap. So, pay attention to the links you're clicking.
Yes.
And
And better yet, bookmark the links. Bookmark the pages that you use frequently. Have a folder of like, here's the sites that I use to make my swaps. Here are 6 or 8 places that I connect to frequently. So then when you type it into your URL bar, it pulls from your bookmarks instead of searching Google's paid ad results.
that's
It might
true.
be malicious. So you can bookmark some of that stuff to avoid those.
Absolutely. And I always
That's an
like try to
important one.
double check sources with things. Like I don't like to click a link, especially from Discord. If it's the official Discord, maybe, but even still, like going to like the Twitter account and seeing what website they have up there and just verifying from multiple sources that it's the same website before, going into things. And I mean, the
And always
reason
read what you're signing.
yeah. The reason it's so important in Web3 is because you're literally connecting your wallet to Web3 websites. You're literally connecting your account to it. And, these things can happen. These things can happen with your Apple account and your Google account and stuff like that as well. But unless you're using Google Pay and Apple Pay, it's not quite as important. It is a big deal if you're using Google as your two-factor authentication. And if that's where your emails are and all that, then you're losing access to a lot of your like credit card information and stuff like that. That still requires, other forms of logins, but it's still just like you're giving people for closer and closer access to your information. And but in Web3, you're connected to the thing, and if you connect to a website that's malicious, then and then you sign something, that's the other step here. And I think a lot of people think that just clicking a website is enough, and typically it's not. Like in
Right. You can connect
scams,
your wallet, but you have to sign or approve anything to come out of your wallet.
exactly. And even in traditional like internet things, like just going to a malicious site isn't necessarily bad. It can get like certain trackers and blockers and things like that on you, but those are fairly easy to get off. And it's like it's once you start to agree to things and let people into your system that it's different. I guess you could pick up like I think you'd still have to kind of execute this. I'm not sure, but you'd have to download it in some form. But like keystroke loggers and stuff like that, things that are actually paying
That's where the
attention to your
malware comes in.
keystrokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in general, I use just a lot of different layers of security, and I don't want to talk too specific about how I do it myself, but I definitely use creative layers. Like one of my creative layers that I'd be happy to share is the use of multiple browsers. I don't
Hmm.
just stick to one type of browser for one thing. I use some browsers for Web3. I use some browsers for my AI and my general search stuff. And that's something right there. I don't, not that it matters, but I segment my things to such a
Compartmentalization.
degree,
Yeah.
compartmentalize, yeah, that like my AI stuff doesn't happen where I do Web3 stuff. You know what I mean? Not for any reason that I think AI is going to take my crypto or something like that, but it's just like one of those things that naturally formed because
Clean workspaces for different stacks, different silos.
exactly. And I mostly pay my bills on my phone. I have a couple of bills that I pay on my desktop, but I don't think I use the same browser for that. So I use multiple browsers for lots of different things. Another big one that I really think is good hygiene is my default browser is not my Web3 browser. So if I click a
Hmm.
link, it doesn't open to a browser that has a wallet.
I got you. That's probably smart.
That way,
Probably
when I
smart.
like, I can click a link and go to a scam website on this other browser and then see, oh, I don't think this is the right website. I can double check with Twitter. I can check other sources, the Discord channel, the Twitter. I can check multiple sources to be like, all right, this is the website they're saying. This isn't the real website. But then or if it does line up across 3 different spaces, then I can go, all right, and I'll copy and paste that website into my Web3 browser so that now I can go do transactions there because I've verified it on
You
another
got that one
browser.
buffer layer.
Exactly.
Smart. Smart.
So yeah, like think about that as like whatever your default browser is the what's going to open when you click a link.
On default browsers, I don't do that. I have one default browser and a backup browser that I use for testing and if things don't work. But I would recommend Brave. I'm not paid by Brave. This isn't sponsored, but I've been using Brave for a while, and it's like it'll block ads and trackers and stuff for you to the extent that it is capable of doing these things. And it'll keep track of how
Yeah.
much crap it has just blocked for you over time. And
I
it's
like Brave
significant.
too. And I've noticed like so obviously you don't really know what it's blocking if it's blocking things, but I have noticed for instance that I think on Brave YouTube doesn't play as many ads or any ads, which is
None.
kind of funny. And then like one thing I know I like so I got a new job and I'm doing corporate training and there's a bunch of corporate websites and I'm running the websites on Brave and a lot of the websites won't work until I
A
turn
lot of that
off
stuff
the
typically fails.
blocker.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's
so
where I
like
would switch over to Chrome, for example, and use that
right.
without the
Well, for
blockers
the
and the
website,
wallets.
since it's my corporate websites, I've allowed it to trust those websites or whatever to take the blockers down on that just so that I can do these courses or whatever. But, you know, that's also questionable there because that's saying I trust my corporate network enough that that won't get compromised. And now I've taken down my firewall to say, oh, I trust this website when Brave was blocking me, you know. Kind
So
of
in this
funny
case,
though.
maybe separate browsers is the play.
I guess more anecdotal, but like it's funny it's called Brave, but it's like all about hiding behind the shield. Like it's very I think it's brave to go out there with no fucking security.
Right?
That's what's brave.
You're gonna have a hard time selling
You're
that browser though.
out there
We
raw
don't block
dogging the
anything.
internet.
It auto downloads everything. Download our browser. It's easy. Shoot.
Also, another little thing, I actually signed up for Arc browser. Haven't tried it yet, but I did get approved to use Arc browser. So I'm going to tell you how that works. We'll have an episode maybe talking about that soon. But I do use Brave. I do use Chrome. Believe it or not, I use Firefox. Like I use Firefox for my tertiary backup. I've got my primary, my secondary,
Got your
my
layers.
tertiary, and then like if all else fails, you can always whip out Safari. I'm on Mac, so.
Yeah, right. Well, I got one more big on the same tangent as having multiple browsers.
Yeah.
One more big recommendation that I've been hearing a lot is multiple wallets.
Oh, definitely.
So you keep up to 3 or minimum of 3, but you have 3 different wallets for 3 different levels of interaction with blockchain stuff.
Right.
So similar to how you're doing particular things on one browser and other things on another browser, you would use your wallets for particular things. Have one wallet that is just a safe. It's a vault. You don't connect it to anything. You don't
Your
mint
hardware
anything
wallet.
from it.
That's your
It's a
cold
hardware wallet.
storage.
You put your stuff there and it sits there. Keep that seed phrase secure. Don't connect to anything. That's your vault. Second wallet would be like a medium risk wallet where you use it pretty frequently. You connect to trade. You do your DEX swaps with that wallet. You connect to a few things, but they're known sites that are generally trusted. Right? And then you've got your degen wallet, your high risk, mint whatever you want. Pepe V2 is dropping and you want to ape in. You use your high risk wallet for that.
Not financial advice.
Right?
Not life
I'm not
advice
saying you
either,
do
but-
want to, if you want to ape in.
Right.
But yeah, you wouldn't want to be like connecting your vault wallet to a site that just launched, code hasn't been audited, and you're minting a brand new NFT that nobody knows anything about.
Right.
You're going to get rugged.
And the other thing too, though, this is also going into that level of security is part of the thing is, so you have that degen wallet that you're attaching to some third party NFT site, some artist you might trust, but still like you do this on your other wallet. And then you can send your NFT to cold storage or some other wallet that you feel more safe in. But at least that way you're separating the wallet that you want, that you may keep your money in, from the wallet that you're attaching to everything. And it's going to cost you more in gas. You got to think about that. It's going to cost you more to
True.
do things in this wallet and transfer it to that wallet. But that's what security is all about. And, I think that's something that maybe people really haven't learned in the internet yet, because we haven't had any really good financial products in the internet. I wouldn't consider, your bank account and the ability to pay bills online is crucial, definitely. But I wouldn't say that like most of our financial products, including Venmo and PayPal and a lot of these things, offer us the sovereignty that we get with crypto. And I think that people have always relied on the centralized party for security. They don't mind if they lose their password or they lose a transaction, because I'll just call the bank and tell them, oh, that wasn't me, and it'll all be fixed, because the bank has insurance and the bank has done something.
And the bank has access to all of those controls.
Right.
If you need to reverse a transaction, the bank can do it. If you need to
and that's also why you don't get the yield, more importantly. So like you're not in control of your financial sovereignty or your security. And so I think that part of sovereignty, part of going into this whole realm of thinking on the internet, is like being responsible for your own security. And I don't think people are really aware of that, especially the most normie of normies on the internet, because I love seeing on Facebook somebody from my family or friends or my friend's family or whatever that are like, oh, my account got hacked. No, it didn't. Like, no one was sitting there with their hoodie on hacking your account. You gave them the information. You got phished. Like, that's what happened to you. Like, I
let someone hack me, which we can say this, but for those whom it has happened, it still feels really bad.
Oh, definitely. But because it really does feel bad, and it should feel bad. I don't want to say it like that. But the reason it feels bad is because you're responsible for it. So that's why I think it's like really bad language to say I was hacked. It's like you're not taking responsibility for what you did in that situation. And
right.
Not to make it like I'm not trying to blame the victim, because you trust people and we should trust people, and it sucks to like get hacked or to get phished, to get scammed. But calling it a hack is, it's not taking the responsibility that like, hey, you trusted a third party. You in some way approved this thing to happen to you. And if you take that awareness into your going forward, then you can reduce
now you can
the amount
learn
of times
from
that happens.
Right. Now you can understand
you can
it
always
happened.
avoid it.
Right.
So,
but you got to be real about it. You got to learn from your mistakes if you're making mistakes, and always try to be improving.
The other thing too, like you were saying, the separation of wallets, is knowing the stuff is going to happen means like, so you have that hot wallet gets compromised. You don't feel bad because you didn't just lose your whole net worth. You didn't lose all your money and all your NFTs. You just lost what you put out there dangling on a hook for somebody to get. And yeah, you didn't want them to get it, but hey, look, that's the cost of learning. That's the cost of doing business, whatever you want to hack it up to. Like we're not saying that that's okay. We're not trying to say that scams are, we all want to get rid of it, but the reality is it's what's happening.
It's human actors working in a space with a profit motive. It doesn't matter what space it is. You're going to find scammers.
That's why, to go back to just the normal shit, that's why you get the things from like CVS and Walmart and Amazon. You just get anything you could be associated with. Apple, PayPal, it's all trying to contact you about some really bad thing happened to your account. We just need your login right here. And with those things, my email security thing too is if I get an email and I think it might be legit, I just go straight to the app or the address that I have saved in my desktop. I never click the email link. Like if this is legit, then you'll tell me there. You know what I mean? I'll log in desktop and you'll say, oh, here's the thing. And I'll be like, oh, this really was a legit thing. They were contacting me for this. Like, but I'm not going to trust the email. It's just a layer of security I'm not going to click the email. I'm going to go straight to the app and you tell me what you're doing. But yeah, like I did want to keep it, relatively short. We are getting close to our half hour, but I want to still talk a little more. I want to get a little more into the the futuristic side of this. So like,
Let's.
yeah, so like cryptography is super important, not just for humans and the sovereignty of individuals against nation states and corporations, but I think like this is cryptography is going to be hugely important to proof of humanity, whatever that ends up looking like. And knowing that like a tweet or a social media personality or a post or whatever it is, content, video creation like this, knowing that like these are real people. This isn't an AI. This wasn't like faked. It's not a deep fake. It's not an AI. Whatever things we may be worried about as far as legitimacy and security of, and we don't think of it this way, but this is philosophical. Like it's the security of your own mental sovereignty. It's the idea that like you're not letting false sources put things into your mind, and you're in control of the sources of data that you feel are legitimate, rather than it being inserted into your mind, this false sense of legitimacy. And we can argue that 100 different ways, but just the idea that at least you know that a content creator is real to the degree that you can trust that, to what I feel like at this point where we're reaching AI and all these things coming out, it is going to be important. I think in the long run, it becomes less and less important, in the sense that there's going to be AI sources that you trust. There's going to be synthetic biological creations that we end up adopting as sources of truth. That might
Our human instincts and our human emotions, things like trust and safety, like yeah, those are gonna continue.
Right.
So we will have to have those feelings toward non-human entities. That's interesting.
But in this early stages, I think it's really just going to be super important to know that we're people, and that it's not an AI, because it's going to take AI time to earn that trust from us. Also, because there is the uncanny valley aspect of the whole thing of like, I'm not just going to trust some computer. It's going to have to like prove to me that it is a life form before I'm going to fully adopt it as one.
That's right. Hit me with that UBI first, and then
I would also recommend though, like for the sake of alignment, maybe treat your AIs well. Like maybe.
Do you say please and thank you in your prompts?
Absolutely. And
sure
also it's also just good manners for yourself. It's good to treat these things, if you're treating your like, your AI and even your corporate emails, like if you're losing the human touch of like how you interact with things that are not quite as human, you can't always see the person at the end of the machine. And that's why this is so crazy, because at some point you're going to be interacting with an AI, not a human, and you're going to think it's a human. And that can already be happening in the form of like the credit card chat or what's, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like you can tell at first that you're dealing with a prompt and that everything is, but what if the prompt is just a like low level AI or, menu bot that then leads you to an actual AI, and that distance of like, oh, I know that was a bot. And now you're talking to something you think isn't a bot, and you're fooled because of the distance. You're no longer looking at it and going, are you as human as me? You're just going, well, you're a lot more human than that. So it's actually funny because I had something with a credit card the other day that I was dealing with, and it's funny because I could have been dealing with an AI. I really don't know.
Did you get your job done? Did you?
I got my job done. And I said, please and thank you.
Nice.
I was very polite, as if it was a human. Maybe it was a human. Maybe it wasn't. And people would say, oh, well, that's why I always call. And that will be effective for some period of time until it's not.
Until the AIs also very realistically regenerate human voice.
Absolutely. And if everything essentially comes down to like mannerism, and in the end, even the human you're dealing with only has so many choices that are on the screen. And the only thing that feels human about it is how they choose to respond to you in the interim moments between decisions. It's not in the
I'm sorry you're happening to feel this way. Let me see if I can help you while I'm searching. Instead
exactly.
of just, please wait, bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop.
And if a bot gets good enough at having those empathic moments and is able to really,
they will.
Even because like they'll tell by your tone that you're angry or you're upset, or, you know, oh, this person's an amiable person, you know, they'll even be able to get you doing small talk. You know, and then when it gets to the big point, like the Blade Runner replicant point of like, these bots will have memories and they'll think that they'll have things that they can actually empathize with you.
They're going to be upselling you before you call and before you hang up.
My daughter's just like that. It's like, this AI doesn't have a daughter, or maybe it thinks it does, or like whatever. Yeah, like dang. It is a little, yeah. When you get into thinking about the sci-fi part of it, that gets a little like
the possibilities open up to a lot of things that include,
is that ethical to make a robot think it has an entire life outside, but it's actually doesn't
just for this call, and then to wipe it and start fresh for the new caller?
Then you get into simulation theory. It's like, was that happening to us right now? Are we I mean,
we're just in a call.
we're making a podcast, but are we people? Are we in a simulation? Are we a simulation inside of a simulation right now? The podcast is a simulation of two people inside of a simulation. Security. That's right. So, and then, you know, obviously this week there's been a lot of big talk about WorldCoin, which is really funny because it's been out for a while, but I guess it's making new waves. It's doing the Optimism chain mainnet launch, and but it's become a big talk again. And, you know, their premise is obviously they want to give away WorldCoin as a universal basic income for the entire globe, but they only want to give it to people. And the way that they're going to verify that people are people is by doing an iris scan with these sci-fi looking chrome orbs, in which they claim to be taking an iris scan, but ZK proofing that away from your identity. And this is only to prove that you're actually a human, that your wallet is a human verified wallet. And so therefore, any actions that take place on that wallet are assumed to be done by you. And that would become with benefits of anywhere that would want to do human verifiability would be able to do that using that wallet.
And specific identity verification.
Right, a specific identity. So if you wanted to have more anonymous wallets, you could certainly do that. But if you wanted to have a wallet where, you know, maybe in the future, like certain nation state IDs are represented as NFTs, and you would send that to this wallet that is your human wallet where you get your WorldCoin UBI. And in a way, it sounds really great, and it also sounds really dystopic. A lot of people are very upset about this. They feel like this isn't security. This is like some New World Order 1984 type of, you know, weird,
some dystopian takeover of identities.
Right. And I think that is certainly a valid take. I think that we are valid to not be trusting. But
it's good to have concerns. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is a but it's also just as scary. But it's like, because Sam Altman is related with OpenAI, it seems like he would want to solve human verifiability. That's very important. And so that's a pro. But the con is also, well, should this be done by the same person? Should it be the same person who, like somebody worded it as, the person who created the problem also created the solution? So that's a little like Bond villain-esque. That's a little like dystopic. And also, since I mentioned the James Bond thing, I also would like to say that I think that normies should take cryptography more seriously, because all of the early James Bond movies were Russians trying to get the cipher to help them crack cryptography. So if it was good enough for James Bond to be trying to stop it from happening, maybe it's an important technology for you to have in your hands as an individual.
I like that.
Russia wanted it.
Sums it up. Must be good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. It sums it up. Be cautious. Do everything right on your end. Another little practice I have, another good one. I'm just going through the notes here and just trying to see if there's anything we really missed. But another good one is I turn my Wi-Fi off when I leave my house, and if I'm not using my Bluetooth, I turn that off too.
If you do need to use Wi-Fi outside your own personal secure home network, get a VPN. They're cheap. You can get a VPN for a couple bucks a month. Some software has it built in for free.
I have a
Use
VPN.
Opera browser. Opera
Yep.
browser will do it for free. Find a way to get yourself a VPN for
I use
using
Brave on my phone
public
too.
Wi-Fi. Nice.
I use Brave on my phone. I have a VPN that's on my desktop and my phone. I don't use it for everything because obviously some things don't work with a VPN. A lot of websites won't work if you have a VPN on,
Yep,
but
if they
use it
detect
when
your
you're doing things
Lenstube.
that you feel, yeah. But yeah, the Wi-Fi thing, I turn my Wi-Fi and my Bluetooth off because they can have like Wi-Fi sources out there that are just
Bluetooth
waiting for you to
sniffers.
connect to it. Like when you drive by the street and you connect to something and it's trying to get whatever information it can. And the thing is, like, even if you don't think there's any scammers in my neighborhood, nobody's doing that around here. Police are doing it everywhere. So it is a way to keep your information safe from the police in your area because police are doing this everywhere. It's perfectly legal. They set up these vans where it's basically a fake Wi-Fi router. You drive by, your information is sucked up. Boom. And that's perfectly legal. And so when you talk about security, it's protection against everything. It's protection against the nation state, scammers. It's protection against, it's just, you don't even have to be doing anything wrong. It's knowing that I have self-sovereignty and I am responsible for my digital footprint. And yeah, because that's what it's all about. Like, people don't realize it yet, and they should wake up to it that like the internet is the new world in a sense. Like, everybody is setting up stakes. They're like taking land, and you need to protect yourself and your assets in this new emerging market that is the internet. And crypto, NFTs, all that makes it possible. And it's going to be only more and more important as we get into AI, synthetic biology, what else? All of it,
Those are two huge ones for sure. Huge ones for sure.
Digital nation states or whatever we're calling it. Yeah. Did all the digital states that we're talking about. And just like cryptography to me ties all this together with proof of humanity and proof of, and just verifying that like people are doing things out there and it's not just bots,
Yeah. You are you and you are a human.
Yep. So, all right, man. Well, it's great to be back. And I think, what are we coming up with
recap.
next? Ethics and regulation, it looks like, is coming up next. So I like that one. That's a really great one. Ethics and regulation is it's a scary one, but it's a good one. And then, then we'll be heading into some new territory after that. So thanks for hanging out with us. And we will see you again from A to Z and Bankless DAO fam. Peace.
Thanks, friends.